Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Jeremiah chapter 4, verses 19 through 21. My bowels, I am pained at my very heart. My heart makes a noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because you have heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. How long shall I see the standard, and hear the sound of the trumpet?
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Steal Away.
Tombstones are burned. oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Shalom,
Shabbat shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. When you begin to read this book and you see Yahweh bringing the children of Israel out of captivity, he didn't bring us straight out of captivity into this land flowing with milk and honey. There was a pause there, and that pause was to make sure that we would be perfectly joined unto him. And you realize later on that because we are creatures of habit, we kind of get accustomed to the places where we are. So we begin to set up shop real quick, and we begin to pick up ways real quick. And Yahweh needed to work, that out of us. And he purposely left some nations among us, saying that, no, all of these are not going to be Israel. I'm going to leave these nations at this point because I want to see if you're going to serve me. And the way Yahweh deals with that now is he doesn't have to have another nation. As it is written, they are not all Israel which are of Israel. So he will leave Israel among you who are not of Israel, and not about any physical lineage. No, just about the things that are within their heart and how they move and operate, and to see if we are going to allow those things to change how we walk. So that's something that we have to consider. Today's sermon is entitled Perfectly Joined. Now, when we the 10 virgins, we find that the foolish virgins appeared wise because they traveled with the wise. It was only darkness, or in layman's terms, a bad situation, that divided one from another. The assumption of good or evil, whether true or false, is observed universally by the company that one keeps. Likewise, if you travel with individuals who have been observed committing questionable acts, marvel not that your character comes into question. The question of our character is actually being put forth by us when we decided that no matter what our friends did, they will always be our friends. Romans chapter 1 verse 32 says, knowing the judgment of Elohim, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. That pleasure in them that do them. This is that part where we don't realize that it's a testimony about our heart. Because at some point, it becomes a question, how are you okay with this? At some point, as your spirit begins to grow, there's certain things that should not be okay with you. There's certain things that, you know what, I was okay with this for about 5-10 years. But now every time I see it, it starts to irk me. That's called spiritual growth. And at some point, we have to start allowing that to take over and do what it's going to do so that it will work within us. We're going to begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 23. I got you one of these cups.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, you sound like Jamaican Barry White today.
Exodus chapter 20. You should not raise a false report. Put not your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness.
Now, when you people say, you know, why would I join on to something? Real easy. Friend. It's not like we look at situations and say, you know, this is evil, I want to join to it. No. That's not how that's going to work. What's going to happen is you're going to have somebody that you hang out with and they're going to present something. You are going to go along with it because it's your friend. You're not going to examine whether or not it's good or evil. That's the problem. That is the problem. We are not examining the actual situation. We're examining the friend. You know, it's my partner. You know, we've been kicking it for a long time. You know, when I had you know, back in the days, I got into a little trouble, and a friend of mine, you know, was my best friend. Said, you know, I'll do the time. No, ain't nobody owing me nothing. I ain't owing nobody my life. I said, no. I'll do the time for my own deeds. You know, you do the time for whatever come your way, and I'll do the time for whatever come my way. I ain't letting nobody take my time because I don't need you coming back 10 years later talking about how I owe you this, that, and the third. Well, that situation worked out for us. Ran into another friend not too long ago. That same guy, my childhood best friend, got life plus 15 or 20. At some point, we had to part ways. At some point, man, my song used to have this guy name in it. I mean, we were, I mean, what they said, you know what I'm saying? Man. This, I'm talking about my partner. At some point, there had to be a separation. And I didn't want to hear it. You know, people who were older than me saw it. They said, I know you think y'all just alike, but you know y'all really not, right? I wasn't trying to hear that. I mean, we had a really good time. We laughed and joked all the time. We had a really good time being together. But there were people who was on another level than where I was, and they could see, y'all not the same. I didn't see that. But as years started to go by and changes were made in life, I started to see, wait a minute, there is a difference. Now, what we have to do is make sure that we see that difference before that separation becomes done in a very, very bad way. Go ahead.
Verse 2, you shall not follow a multitude, neither shall you speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment.
Right. And with the intent to do evil, we're just going to follow with our friends. Not really assessing the fact that they already told you what they were finna do. And even if they didn't, you know them. When a bunch of dudes who don't do nothing but still say, hey man, you want to go to the mall with us? Bro, they don't really have to say to you, we finna go steal some polo shirts. Would you like to help us steal these shirts? We'll steal you one. They didn't have to say all that. All they had to say was, we on the way to the mall. You know what they do? What did Yahweh say to Satan? Have you considered? He didn't go through all that. Well, I tell you what, why don't you try to kill him and see if you can? No. Everything was all in there when he said, have you considered? Why wasn't it a deep conversation? Because he know what he does. You got a friend, you know what they do. We want to act like we don't know what they do. You know what they do. Go ahead.
Neither shall you countenance a poor man. If you meet your enemy's ox or his ass going astray, you shall surely bring it back to him again. If you see the ass of him that hates you lying under his burden, and would forbear to help him, you shall surely help with him. You shall not rest the judgment of your poor in his cause. Keep you far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay you not, for I will not justify the wicked.
Now we have a situation that is being presented. Keep you far from a false matter. Now, a false matter can be anything that is presented one way, but it's really something else. So then that means sometimes people are presenting something. And this is why you have to be really careful. Because people will present something like it's a really, really, harmless thing. We should get together and have such and such. But what you don't know is they're using the other people to justify some wickedness of their own. And they're going to pull all these people together to have this little get together. But the whole time it's to hide either something that they don't want to do or something that they ain't doing. Now here it is. These innocent people done joined along, and they have joined along to a false matter and have no idea. Because they have not dug into the reason for why was this presented. You go in another circle and they say, oh, yeah, I can tell you about what this individual does. I'm telling you what they about to do. They about to get this together so they can get you to do their work. See, this person has a real lazy problem. See? And this person is putting together something so that you can do the work that they supposed to be doing. And then make you feel good about doing it. But you got to come outside that circle to find that information out. Go ahead.
And you shall take no gift, for the gift blinds the wise and perverts the words of the righteous.
Now, the easiest gift to take is association. To be friends with somebody is receiving a gift. Where then we turn our eye to the things that we are seeing. See, all of us have had a situation in our family where, your family act, really upset about some things. And they tell you, those things just wrong. And then somebody in your family do it, and it was different. Now, wait a minute now, hold on now, Mama, hold on. I heard you a clown when Miss Joanne did this. Now, how is it now? Your sister did this, and it was more like maybe a word or two, maybe saying she need not do that. Wait a minute, no. I'm gonna need you to act the same clown you did when Miss Joanne did it. Now, when Miss Joanne did it, you was on top of the roof, peeing in the gutters. I'm going to need you to act that same kind of fool when it's your loved one who did it. Because the deed didn't change, just the person who did it. It's the same deed. That means the judgment is the same. Go ahead.
Also, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, seeing you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
All right. So then we have to deal with a part here. Keep you far from a false matter, and I will not justify the wicked. Now, we have to then try to get some clarity on those things. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. We have to get some clarity on those things and see how would those things be presented to us. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and I want you to start at verse 12.
And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you, and are over you in the Adonai, and admonish you.
And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you, and are over you in the Adonai, and admonish you. Go ahead.
And to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake, and be at peace among yourselves.
Right. What's going to happen is, when it says esteem them very highly in love for the work's sake, when you talk about doing work, there's going to come a point where some uncomfortable things are going to be either said or implemented. I mean, if you're at work and nothing at your job becomes uncomfortable, it ain't a job. Even if you like your job, there's a point of something in that job that gets on your nerve. You still got to do it. Go ahead.
Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. See that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both among yourselves and to all men. Rejoice ye evermore, pray without ceasing, and everything give thanks, for this is the will of Elohim in the Hamashiach Yahshua concerning you. Quench not the spirit, despise not prophesying, prove all things, hold fast that which is good, abstain from all appearance of evil.
And here we go. Abstain from all appearance of evil, which is basically keeping you far from a false matter. So here we go. The things that we find in the epistles, a lot of times we don't understand that those things are coming from the law itself. So people who do not read the law are basing their entire walk on the things of the letters and not really understanding that the basis for those things, even dealing with certain situations, are coming from the law that was given unto us. It's not just some way that this particular writer felt at the time. There is a basis. So let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. Because it's important for us to know that Yahweh doesn't hold himself apart from the law that he gave unto us. That means he has to deal with some things. So 2 Samuel chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 1 through 17.
And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in house of cedar, but the ark of Elohim dwells within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for Yahweh is with you.
And the prophet had no reason to consult Yahweh before he said it, because everything that he has seen, Yahweh has been with David. Everything. I mean, if he pick up an instrument, he play it well. He pick up a sword, everybody die in front of him. He has no reason to believe anything differently. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, Thus says Yahweh, shall you build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even unto this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build you not me an house of cedar?
Right. So Yahweh said, and not in any shape, fashion, or form have I uttered this. Where did you get this thought from to want to build a house? You see, it was automatically in him to say, I'm living good. Why is the art? Why are these holy things within curtains? It was automatically in him. See, this is what I talk about. When something is in you, nobody has to constantly beat you down to do it. It's already in you. When Abraham gave the tenth, who told him to do that? Because sure wasn't no law. Go ahead.
Now therefore so shall you say unto my servant David, thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with you whithersoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time.
Right. So part of the reason Yahweh has not spoken about a permanent house for his holy things, because I keep moving y'all. They don't need to be having a conversation about a permanent place, because I got to keep moving to deal with your heart. That's why y'all had to wander in the wilderness for 40 years to start with. I can't have no a permanent place, and I keep having you move over here. Okay, now move over there. Okay, now go back over there where you were. Why you doing this? Because your heart. See, you get too comfortable, and you turn into something else. Go ahead.
Verse 11, and as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahweh tells you that he will make you an house. And when your days are fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I'll set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I'll establish his kingdom.
So Yahweh says, just because you wanted to build me a house, I'm going to build you an everlasting house. It was a glorious thing that you would even desire to do. Go ahead.
He shall build an house for my name, and I'll establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Now, Yahweh is saying all of these things about him, and saying that through the prophet. One thing you'll find that a lot of individuals like to have, they like to cut out the middleman whenever they're dealing with Yahweh. They want to have all the conversations with Yahweh themselves. Even though Yahweh said, I have found me a man after my own heart, a man that will perform all my will. He didn't talk directly to him. He still used somebody else. And then that man has to be humble enough, because this man had to be corrected in his own statement. He told David, go and do all that's in your heart. Yahweh spoke to him that night. He got, you know what? And another thing, look here. You remember that stuff I said? Throw it out the window. Yahweh came to me last night. See, you got to be humble enough to be at that place where you stand on something, Yahweh show you something else. You got to be humble enough to back up. Say, hey man, I know I told y'all such and such, but Yahweh changed my mind. He made me repent. Go ahead.
I'll be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, I'll chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men.
Right. I will be his father. He shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, which is what iniquity is, lawlessness, I will chasten him. I will whoop him with the rod of men. I'm going to make sure I give him some trouble and punishment for those deeds. And with the stripes of the children of men. Remember now, if Yahweh says, he won't justify the wicked, here is where we have a dilemma. He has said all these good things about what he's going to do in the future. But what happens if that person gets off that path? Yahweh says he cannot justify the wicked. So then something has to happen so that Yahweh's name is preserved even while preserving the promise that he made to you. Go ahead.
Well, my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before you.
All right. So my mercy will not depart away from him, but I'm still going to chastise him. Go ahead.
And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto Dawid.
All right. So now let's jump to chapter 12, 2 Samuel chapter 12. And we're going to read verses 1 through 14. So Yahweh says all of these things about this great man who has taken over for a king that he wasn't even ready to give Israel. Okay? But then something happens. Yahweh has to preserve his name. So a lot of times when things go down and they're public, then Yahweh has to deal with it publicly. 2 Samuel chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
And Yahweh sent Nathan unto Dawid, and he came unto him and said unto him.
Now, wait a minute. He used the same man. All right? Same one who told him all this other stuff. Now, it's time for you to go talk to him again. Go ahead.
There were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nursed up. And it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man.
Now, that whole part there in verse 3 was to let you know how close this man was to this particular thing. All right? So that was to let you know where the relationship was. Go ahead.
And he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And Dawid's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, As Yahweh lives, the man that has done this thing shall surely die. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing and because he had no pity.
Right. So he not only get physically punished, but he's also financially punished. He has to offer up restitution for what he's done. This is the judgment coming from the king. Go ahead.
And Nathan said to Dawid, You are the man. Thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul.
I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. So when all of those military campaigns were happening, it's Yahweh that's doing the directing. But there are times that we get stuck in our own sauce and we start drinking our own sauce. Man, I did that. You saw the way I moved? When I twitched, man, I kicked him in his head, kicked the whole helmet off. You saw that? I did that. Who did that? This guy. We forget Yahweh in there. Go ahead.
And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your bosom, and gave you the house of Israel and of Yehudah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto you such and such things.
Imagine the relationship that Yahweh has with a man that he said, if you had but asked, if all of that had been too little. Now, I can't legally give you another man's wife. But I would have gave you something that made you forget about her. I would have gave you something you would have looked, all right, you still want that? Nope. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you despised the commandment of Yahweh, to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon.
Right. See, a lot of times when people are being, slick and they're trying to orchestrate something, see, all this is a false matter. And Yahweh can't cleave unto a false matter. See, at the point that he wanted something, he didn't go about dealing with any of that in a righteous way because the whole desire was unrighteous. See, this is what causes us to say, well, there's no righteous way to get an unrighteous thing. So then we don't include Yahweh at all. But had you included Yahweh, maybe he would have came in, all right, I replaced that desire with something else. I take that and I put it over here. But instead, all this trickery is happening. This false matter is going. And when people are orchestrating these things, we don't think Yahweh sees us. And when Yahweh sees you, he tells somebody else. He told Nathan, hey, come here. Let me tell you what your king did. What? Now go tell him this. That means Dawid would have gotten scot-free. Everybody, who else gonna come to him? Well, nobody left but Yahweh. And of course, Nathan. Go ahead.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you have despised me.
Despised me. You see that? This is the part that we don't see in actions, where something takes place. And Yahweh said, oh no, you despise me. Wait. When did I see you a hunger and I didn't feed you? Or when have I done you evil? When have I slept with your spouse, Yahweh? Oh, you remember when you did it to him? And you did it to me. Go ahead.
And has taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I'll raise up evil against you out of your own house, and I'll take your wives before your eyes, and give them unto your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this son.
So, when he says keep you far from a false matter, and Yahweh will not justify the wicked, when a lie is told, the judgment for a lie is different from any other thing. The judgment of a lie is whatever you intended to happen when you told the lie. That is your judgment. So if you intended to deceive, then you're going to end up in a situation where you're being deceived. There are people that end up, they might go to work, or they might be, at their house, and they got a foul neighbor, and they can't understand, why is this happening? Back up. Look at the deceptive actions that you have put forth. That is your judgment. The lie that you told and tried to do such and such with somebody else, that's why this is happening. This is for that. And we keep thinking that, woe is me. Why is this happening to me? We don't think back far enough. See, we got that spiritual amnesia when it comes down to us. Now, we can remember everything done to us, but about 5% of what's done by us. Oh, we 95.5. We're 95.5. We remember 95 of what happened to us, 5 of what was done by us. We 95.5, Jack. So then when it starts coming back, we feel, we strain. I don't know what is happening here. Sometimes you got to see somebody from a while back. Wait. Hey, come on. You keep, it's killing me, man, how you keep telling me, you know what I'm saying? I've heard you say this 5 times, but you don't know such and such. You remember Tamika Johnson? Okay. I ain't got to say no more, do I? Yeah, that's why you're having this situation right here. All right, I'm out. Peace. That's all you got to say. Oh, right. And you keep thinking that this happened to you out of the blue. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It ain't out of the blue. You just decided you didn't want to remember any of that. Go ahead, bro.
For you did it secretly, but I'll do this thing before all Israel and before the sun.
Uh-huh.
And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh. And Nathan said unto David, Yahweh also has put away your sin. You shall not die.
Now, there are promises that Yahweh has made with this man. All right? So there is a connection there. But he ain't going to justify the wicked. Say, no. I got to deal with you, and they got to see me deal with you. No. I got to deal with you in the presence of everybody. They got to see me deal with you. And because I love you, they got to see me deal with you. I can't deal with you privately. That's the stuff that got Eli cut off. See, his son's doing what they doing, and he pull them aside. Everybody's talking about what you're doing. Stop that. Privately. He didn't do nothing publicly. So you have to watch how Yahweh deal with things. Because I love you. See, when we grew up, depending on what generation of parent you had, there was that point where they said there was a term that we had gotten accustomed to. You get it where you act up at. Now, certain generations don't even make no sense to them. They say, what does he mean by you get it where you act up at? If you act up at Kroger aisle 3, Kroger aisle 3 is where you shall see the light. You understand what I'm saying to you? It is where you shall be redeemed. Right there. You shall feel thy redemption on aisle 3. If you act up in the middle of church, I'm going to throw me a hissy fit because she going to give me this bubble gum out of her purse. Guess where you going to get it at? Right there by the baptism pool. Yes, you are. All right? You going to get it where you act up at. That taught us something. We got a whole nother generation to operate differently because they ain't never got it where they act up at. You know, because we whisper to it, you just wait, I'll get you home. You just wait. I'm going to show you. We get home, and we off in our own thing. We ain't even studying them. Boom, they got us. Now, our discipline is getting weaker and weaker because 8 hours done passed since you told them, I'm going to get you. Now you ain't even angry no more. Now they done got away with that evil. Now all the people who watched, you have now justified the dealings by your child by not doing anything. So when you talk about justifying the wicked, when people say, you know what, I don't really believe in disciplining my kid. Oh, okay, well you believe in justifying the wicked. So when that kid does something wicked, the Bible says, you shall beat him with the rod and save his soul. You then are justifying the wicked by deciding you're not going to do anything to that child. See, that child got to know that that's wrong. That means there has to be, see, we remember things based on trauma. There's certain things that your child does that they should be seriously traumatized. What do you think he's doing here? I know you did this thing secretly. But because everybody know how I love you, if I don't deal with you openly, they're going to believe that I okayed it. They're going to believe that I okayed your theft. They're going to believe that I okayed your murder. They're going to believe that I co-signed on all this. So you got to get it where you act up at. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Howbeit, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of Yahweh to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto you shall surely die.
Check that out. I have to take care of this business. See, if I let this child live, do you understand how many problems are going to come behind that? They still was able to have another child, but no, not this one. This one has to die. Because of the deed that you did and how you orchestrated this, how you manipulated this situation, that child has to die. We will never even draw back some of our actions and understand, why does this happen? Have you examined how you operate? Do you think that Yahweh does not look at the deceitful deeds and the manipulation and does not account it unto us? This punishment that he's announcing unto him, you understand this don't happen till decades later, right? See, that's our problem. By the time the stuff is implemented, we are outside of that situation. And we're no longer thinking about that situation. But that situation is alive and kicking. I want you to read, go to the next graphic and read that line right there for me. Proverbs 27. Let's go to it, because I don't think the whole thing is there. Proverbs 27. And I want you to read verses 5 and 6.
Open rebuke is better than secret love.
Open rebuke is better than secret love. But see, we'll think the people who saying all these soft words to us are the ones that love us. Those are the ones that are allowing you to stay in your ways. Those are the ones that are allowing you to be comfortable in wrongdoing. So then, when somebody speaks to us in a certain way, we like, you know what, man, I don't like that, but he always speaking rough to me. Open rebuke is better than secret love. But we're going to seek out the secret love and run from the open rebuke. Go ahead.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful.
That's us. See? We're going to run from the wounds of a friend and go to the kisses of an enemy. Because that enemy going to turn around and tell you, you know what, everything is okay. No, man, God not mad with you. No, you can keep on, manipulating situations and stuff like that. He not tripping. That's an enemy who told you that. A friend is going to tell you the uncomfortable part. See, you know you're in trouble, especially as an individual, as a man who trying to walk in this word, and your woman walk up to you and said, "Do I look fat in this dress?" Now how the hell I'm supposed to answer that question right here? This sounds like it's a trick question. I might well go and get my stuff and sleep outside tonight. You don't want me to answer that question. In fact, you asked that question, you barely got it on when you got it on. And you had to grease yourself to get in it. You put the dress in the living room, ran, and jumped through the kitchen. And then you gonna ask me, let me go and get my pillow. Go and get my stuff. What you doing? I'm sleeping outside tonight. There ain't gonna be no peace once I answer this question. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 28. I want you to read that for me.
He that rebukes a man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flatters with his tongue.
This is verse 23. He that rebukes a man afterwards now, do understand, he's not going to appreciate you during the rebuke. Do understand that. I need you to understand that in its full context. He that rebukes a man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flatters with the tongue. But we want to be the other guy. See, we want to go toward the kisses of an enemy. But if it's a real individual who's trying to grow, later on, they'll tell you, you know what? I appreciate you hurting my feelings back there. I felt some kind of way when you did. I know, I threw the cup and stormed off. I know, but later on I thought about it, and it made me adjust some things. So, I appreciate that. Just don't expect that right there. That may be a 5-year later conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That may be 5 years later. So if you waiting on this, you ain't never going to do nothing. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 5.
Twelve, 15.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, I'm going to start that at verse 1.
It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. And you are puffed up, and have not rather mourned, that he that has done this deed might be taken away from among you.
What happened? They are joined in friendship with this individual. So they don't want this individual to be dealt with for the deeds that they have done. Now, the other people, they have not committed the deed. So is it that they are okay with the deed because they're going to commit it also? No, they're not going to do that. But they love the individual who did. Same thing happened why we almost lost the whole tribe. Benjamin was asked one thing. Hey, man, just turn over the people who did this thing. No, man. We like those people. And now you're talking about a full-fledged war because they decided not to deliver the individuals who were guilty. Same thing right here. We joined to something, so now we don't want to have it dealt with for what it does. And we don't understand. That means that we are doing what? Justifying wickedness. You justifying the wickedness by remaining in their person. Go ahead.
For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already as though I were present, concerning him that has so done this deed. In the name of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, when you're gathered together in my spirit with the power of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach, to deliver such a one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh.
If you deliver such a one unto Satan, then you're showing them the front door. Go out there and wrestle with the adversary for a while. Go ahead.
That the spirit may be saved in the day of the Adonai Yahshua.
That the spirit may be saved. Maybe the hardships that you encounter when you are removed from the presence of the family, maybe it will cause you to deal with your heart and your mind that in the day of judgment you might be saved. But I know you're going to get destroyed if we just keep agreeing with you and letting you think that it's okay. But then we have to wonder, what is our part in that? Go ahead.
Your glorying is not good. Know you not that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For in the Mashiach our Passover is sacrificed for us.
Now, verse 7, purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump. Verse 6, your glorying is not good. Know you not that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? What is he saying? You do understand that their issue is going to cause you an issue, right? You have joined to them. The leaven that is in them is going to connect to you because you are joined to them. You allowing it to be okay for them is going to end up being leaven for you. Go ahead.
Therefore let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. I wrote unto you in a letter not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters.
Now, you have people that say, wait a minute, man, why y'all judging me? Why y'all judging? Now, you say something and people will swear you getting this from the Old Testament. They'll swear that you done grab Leviticus and slap them across the face with it. That brother done hit me with Deuteronomy. I was just walking down the hall, mind my business, man. I got hit with Deuteronomy. No. That's 1 Corinthians. Go ahead.
For then must you needs go out of the world. But now I have written on to you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator.
No, man, wait a minute. Them the people we call cool. What are you talking about? Those are the ones that we hold high esteem. Yeah, man, old boy, man, he got a lot of girls. What? This the stuff that we give people a pass for. Yahweh said, why you with those people? And we don't think that that's going to affect us. Because once people see you hanging around with a bunch of fornicators, what you think they thinking about you? See, birds of a feather flock together. You know, one thing, I love to watch them nature shows. You know, you see about 10 hyenas come down, walking in the way. You'll never see 10 hyenas and a lion. Just walking together. What up, man? What you gonna do when I ain't get this wildebeest? Well, I'll get the other one. You ain't never seen that. They don't do that. Only like-minded animals travel together. All of Yahweh's creatures follow the order, except us. We will travel with something that's not like-minded for our entire lives, and then argue about all the problems that we have traveling with this unlike-minded thing. Go ahead.
Or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such an one, know not to eat. For what have I to do to judge them also that are without? Do not you judge them that are within?
Do not you judge them that are within? That's your job. What you mean you don't want to judge that? No. All that you don't take care of spreads out and goes to other people. Go ahead.
But them that are without Elohim judges. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person.
So if you want Elohim to judge them, you got to show them the door. Otherwise, Yahweh's saying, no, that's your job. Oh, it ain't fixed yet? Well, that's your problem. You still got them in there. Oh, you want me to fix it? All right, well, send them out here to me. What they tell you when you get in trouble in school? Go to the principal's office. As long as he's in the teacher class, it's a teacher problem, right? Okay. When you want the principal to take care of it, he got to get out of your class. Okay. Pay attention. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25. Deuteronomy chapter 25, and I want to read verses 1 through 4.
If there be a controversy between men, and they come on to judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked.
Not justify my friend and condemn my enemy. We're going to justify the righteous. That means justify the individual who is right according to this situation, as says the word of our Elohim. We're not going to go into that situation saying, I like Janet, but I don't like Paul. So in the situation, Janet is right. Doesn't matter what that person means to you. We're going to justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. And that has no bearing on whether or not we hang out or kick it with that individual or whether we like that individual. So this is what it's talking about. You should not rest judgment. Resting judgment is causing judgment to decline because of some kind of way we feel about something else. Go ahead.
And it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down, and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number.
Now, we get our feelings hurt if somebody say something to us. Can't believe that person said such and such to me. It hurt my feelings. How many of y'all been publicly beaten? And then everybody know that you get 39 stripes, you're going to walk different. Do they still do that in Asia?
Singapore.
Go ahead.
40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed. Lest if he should exceed, and beat him above these with many stripes, then your brother shall seem vile unto you. You shall not muzzle the ox when he treads out the corn.
So when you put that together and you deal with how we are dealing with children, wait a minute. You got grown people getting a whipping. If that child has not received any discipline and they get grown, this child may have some serious problems if this is the time that they then encounter discipline. Because they hadn't had any up until this point, and now they're getting dealt with like that. Let's go to our 2 Corinthians chapter 6.
Second Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14. Be you not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion has light with darkness?
So we have a situation before us. Be you not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Now, all people who say they believe don't believe. You're going to find out that even in believers, there's levels of believing. So you already have that. So you're really far off when we have yoked ourselves with unbelievers, because what's going to happen? There's no doubt that we're going to be going in two separate directions. As the flesh is leading them in one direction and the spirit is leading you in another, there's a conflict bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Go ahead.
And what concord has Yahshua Belial? Or what part has he that believes with an infidel? And what agreement has the temple of Elohim with idols? For you are the temple of the living El. As Elohim has said, I'll dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be you separate, says the Adonai, and touch not the unclean thing, and I'll receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says the El Shaddai.
All right, now that's one level. When it gets down to another level, it really does attack us heavily, because those get into covenants that we have made. Let's go to Esther chapter 1. Esther chapter 1. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law, none did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Agbathaga, Zaithar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king angry, and his anger burnt in him.
Now, this situation is not just between him and her. Because of who he is and the position that he holds, how he deals with this affects the entire kingdom. Go ahead.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next on to him was Karshena, Shaithar, Admatha, Tarshish, Merez, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face and which sat the first in the kingdom.
Which saw his face. Go ahead.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she has not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen has not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes.
Now, this is something that you understand why Yahweh says when a man is going to be a priest, when that man has certain duties, he said it's certain women that you have to marry. Why? Because of issues like this. You think that priests don't have issues in their house? You think that they don't have problems? Well, how are they going to deal with those problems? Because how this thing is being dealt with, it is being pushed out to everybody, which now causes him to make a decision and how he's going to handle this. Go ahead.
Vashti the queen has not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus.
Now, this is what happens when you're in a position you don't really consider that you're in a private, your moment, not understanding that this wrong is going outside of how you think and feel at this moment. When Miriam spoke against Moshe, she was in her own feelings at that particular moment. She didn't think her own feelings incorporated the entire nation of Israel. That you have put yourself in a situation where the God of Israel has to deal with you. And this is where we have many blocks. We are creatures of habit, meaning that we deal with things according to how we've gotten accustomed to it. The problem is when Yahweh gets ready to deal, and let's say he chooses one of these men to be priest. The problem is that man been already married 20 years. He already has a relationship with his wife, with his family. They then get into an argument with this man, and they think, I'm arguing with this man. No, that man got a job though. Now you have gotten yourself in a situation where you have spoken against Yahweh's anointed. Now something had to happen. And our problem is we don't like to have any kind of change in how we deal with something. See, to Miriam, this is just the little boy who she saved. Like, he wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. But now he got a job. You can't talk with him like that. You can't deal with him like that. Now, how many people are able to make that change when Yahweh said, okay, I'm going to use this man or I'm going to use this sister? Because that happened on both ways now. He may say, I'm going to use this sister. And the man comes and said, man, she ain't nobody. All of a sudden, stuff started happening to him. I mean, I've been treating her this way. Yeah, but she just started working for Yahweh Tuesday. And you been getting beat up when? Tuesday. Imagine that. Go ahead.
You know, brother, it's that thing of knowing how to deal with the family overall. Because you got to think about David's situation where, you know, Absalom, oh, my son Absalom. And that man had to say, hey, man, you need to fix yourself. How's people looking at this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he got to that point where it didn't matter if all Israel was dealt with, as long as his boy was okay. Long as his boy was okay, then just tell me my boy's okay. Man, people done died to try and keep this situation in, you know? And he wasn't really considering any of those things. So how this situation is then dealt with is now going to affect all the rest of these men. So now they are going to have to come forward and say, okay, you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to, because if you don't deal with this situation, it's going to cause us some problems in our house. Go ahead.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Right. Now see, in our head in situations, we are still how we used to deal with this individual before. When an individual changes and rises in glory, you got to alter how you deal with that person. And because we are creatures of habit, we don't like to do that. So this is why when somebody is elevated in the word, sometimes the biggest problems that you're going to have is amongst your own family. Why? Because they have already got in their heads their relationship with you. They have already decided this is how we're going to deal with him. No, you're not going. It's going to be different because this person is a servant of Yahweh. You're going to have to deal with them differently. See, this is like, you got friends, right? And one of them get a supervisor spot. He said, man, you changed. Of course he changed. He got a job. You changed, man. You changed. Now you think y'all can just hang out, in their life. You can't hang out with him no more. He got a job. Your relationship with him got to change. No, man, we always used to, hang out there in the back. No, now his job is to write up people who hang out in the back. You can't hang out in the back with him. And you think he changed? Of course he changed. And you supposed to change too. Soon as you saw him, double back. No. Wait, what, man? That buddy, that's your buddy. No, he's supervisor now. I can't let him see me back here in the back. I'll come back here later. Go ahead.
You got to think about even change. There's a lot of people that have a problem when they find out that Sarah called Abraham master.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, I won't call no man no
I
master.
ain't call no man. But you got to think now, hold on. Before we knew the Lord meant master, what people saw was the same title, Lord, that they call Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Now you talking about making a sister mad. Ain't no here anywhere in hell. Call no man Lord. Call my God Lord. I ain't calling that knocker no Lord. Believe that. Say that then. Boy. But see, that's an honor and respect level. See, this is where you got two separate daughters. You got the daughters of Sarah and you got the daughters of Eve. See, which one are they going to be? Go ahead.
Verse 18. Likewise, all the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and anger. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So he's got to make a decision at this point. And the forced decision is because of she was about her own business. The king is setting up a feast. She got her own feast. And her feast is now more important than his. You need to understand something. Your feast ain't never more important than the king's. Whatever that is that you got going on, it ain't never more important than the king. I don't care if you neck deep in what it is and the king says such and such. Whatever that is you got, just got put on hold. Somehow, that was forgotten. So she got her own feast. She got her own thing going on. So she believes that she can just disregard him. Here's the bad position that the king is in. If he allows it, he causes all these individuals problems. Not just a problem that he gonna have in his house. Because by him allowing it, it's gonna come back to him again and again and again. But by him allowing it, he's allowing all these problems to happen in other people's houses. Go ahead.
You know, when you think about the word, it says if a man take on a second wife, the duties of the first should not diminish, right? But here we see a situation where she put herself in a place to cause her own duties to diminish.
Oh, she put herself in a place where she has publicly embarrassed the ruler of the kingdom. Man, when you look at all of these visits where the president and his wife go to another country, there is an order to how these things are going. At some point, the leaders go in a room and the wives go somewhere else, and then they do whatever they do while these guys go and discuss world business. They understand what they're doing, and they have to go and serve that purpose in every country that they go in. They can't just decide, you know what? I ain't studying he want to go and talk to China. I mean, it's not a good move, woman. Not a good move. Not a good move. Now what happened if we get a bomb because they looking at it disrespectful how she did us. And you watch what happens when they go to certain lands. You will see a point where a woman who don't never wear a dress end up wearing a dress. Why? Because if they don't wear one over here, they're going to insult these people. You'll see a woman with a head covering who don't never wear a head covering. Y'all see them pictures with Obama and he got on the yarmulke? What did he put that on for? Because he went to those people things and he respected them. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
In every language it had to be published. What happened? You get it where you act up at. You acted up publicly. You could have been nasty to me in the living room. You would have got it in the living room. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on. But you decided to be nasty at the lobby at the church. I got to give it to you right now. You guys only rightfully so. I got to give it to you now. You go and do this before the kingdom. You tied my hands. How I loveth thee. But look at here. Look at here. Boy, look at here. I got to deal with this in the way that you brought it forth. We were raised by biblical terms and we didn't even know it. You get it? Well, you act up at. You did this publicly. I don't have you tied my hands. I can't privately deal with this. And this is the problem that we put ourselves in when we don't renegotiate the change that Yahweh makes in one another's lives. See, so then we still gonna deal with this person because, hey, you know, back in the day, that person used to do this, this, and that. Then the problem is he worked for Yahweh now. And if you keep trying to deal with him according to who he was, you're gonna be a was. And it's important that we understand that. Least we find ourselves in some trouble. As it say, show honor unto all men, especially those of the household of faith. He is going to hold us accountable. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 18. First Samuel chapter 18, and I want to read verses 17 through 28.
And Saul said to David, Behold, my elder daughter Merab, her will I give you to wife. Only be you valiant for me, and fight Yahweh's battles. For Saul said, Let not my hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. And David said unto Saul, Who am I, and what is my life, or my father's family in Israel, that I should be son-in-law to the king? But it came to pass at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given unto Adriel, the Maholathite, to wife. And Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David, and they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. And Saul said, I'll give him her, that she may be a snare to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him.
Now, he was going to give the oldest daughter to him. But then he gave her to somebody else. Then it was told him that Michal loved David, and he said, oh, this thing pleases me because I will give her to be a snare. Now the question is, why was it pleasing unto him that she would be a snare? Was she particularly nastier than the other one? Why was it? Because he didn't give the other one to him. Did he believe that she wouldn't be able to do the job? Did he believe that she might be able to do the job? Go ahead.
Wherefore Saul said to David, You shall this day be my son-in-law in the one of the two. And Saul commanded his servant, saying, Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king has delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore be the king's son-in-law. And Saul's servant spake those words in the ears of David. And David said, Seemeth it you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and lightly esteemed? And the servants of Saul told him, saying, On this manner spake David. And Saul said, Thus shall you say to David, The king desires not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's enemies.
That's the highest dowry ever. I'd rather give you some goats and some sheep. You gonna put a price of 100 foreskins of the Philistines. First of all, the Philistine, is some valiant fighters. So you talking about killing 100 of them, and then that's a whole lot of strange dealing right there. Because somebody got to go get those foreskins. Somebody got to go. That's a whole lot of circumcision at one time. All right? That's a whole lot. This is a strange price. Okay? Very strange price. Go ahead.
But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines.
Right, because he think ain't no way in the world that he going to be able to do this, so he going to die trying to do it. Go ahead.
And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. And the days were not expired. Wherefore David arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife.
Right. So you traveling with 200 foreskins. And sometimes we get a job and we be like, I don't want to do this job. Here, carry these. Read, bro.
And Saul saw and knew that Yahweh was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him.
All right. So now let's go to, I want to go to 2 Samuel chapter 3. So he has paid this enormously strange price. Okay? 2 Samuel chapter 3. And I want to read verses 12 through 16.
And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make your league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with you to bring about all Israel unto you. And he said, Well, I'll make a league with you, but one thing I require of you, that is, you shall not see my face, except you first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face.
Right. He paid an enormous bride price here and ended up, of course, having to run off and leave her. Go ahead.
And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife, Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines.
You know, when a price was ridiculous, he don't just mention the wife. He mentioned the wife price. Nowhere else do you find somebody saying, make sure my wife, saying 20 goats. Brother don't call his wife by the price, but this was a ridiculous one. And I don't even know why he said 100. That was the price, but he ended up with 200. Because if you fighting, you can't stop. In the middle of the fight, you know what? No, we got 100. Thank y'all. No, we got 100. We got everything we need. You know what I'm saying? No, you got to fight till everybody there dead, and you end up, man. We got 200 of these, man. Well, keep cutting. You got to imagine that you the guy. And he's like, man, look, we got 100. I swear we got 100. Man, keep. No, man, go on and keep going. No, bro, I'm trying to tell you, man, I want to be done with this job, bro. I'm telling you, man, I counted good. We got 100. Man, cut until you get out, man. Come on. Go ahead.
And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish.
Now, she done been left over there. She married to somebody else. Now, what does the law say? And this is one of the things that you know, people have to understand, the power of a baptism and the being born again. See, they don't understand. As it is written, a woman is bound to her husband as long as he lives. So she married to another man. Here's the problem: Dawid's still living. So then you have these situations where a lot of people believe that they married, but you know that first instance that they had, that person's still living, and they ain't got baptized in the correct name of Yahshua. So there's a whole lot of people shacking up and they think they married. They got a plaque on the wall, but they ain't legal. But I mean, you got a plaque on the wall, but you ain't legal. Go ahead.
And her husband went with her, along weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned.
Right. He going crying, and it don't matter to anybody. They saying legally you have no part in this matter. Let's go to chapter 6, 2 Samuel chapter 6, and I want you to read verses 16 through 23. So we're gonna go further down in this story. 2 Samuel chapter 6, and we're going to start at verse 16.
And as the ark of Yahweh came into the city of Dawid, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King Dawid leaping and dancing before Yahweh, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of Yahweh and set it in his place, in the midst of the tabernacle that Dawid had pitched for it. And Dawid offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh. And as soon as Dawid had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahweh of hosts.
Now, he's going all out on this thing because of the problems that he had the first time trying to, bring the ark. He does not want another problem. So he's going, making sure that he does all that he can do to make this successful. Go ahead.
And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house. Then Dawid returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet Dawid and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today.
You know, you can hear the indignation. You know what I'm saying? You know. Sometimes you know you done something wrong. Sometimes when your woman get real proper with you, when she enunciate every part of a word. Oh, what I done now? How was your day today? Man, start trying to figure out now, what did I forget to do? Did I forget? So your mind is running through a circle of things right now, because that was just too proper of a statement. And don't nobody enunciate that much. Something is definitely about to go down in here. Go ahead.
Who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaid.
See, it was coming. How glorious was the king today. You know something coming behind that. Go ahead.
Who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovers himself. And Dawid said unto Michal, It was before Yahweh, which chose me before your father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of Yahweh, over Israel. Therefore I play before Yahweh, and I'll yet be more vile than dust, and will be base in mine own sight. And of the maidservants which you have spoken of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death.
So, we don't even consider, now, as this woman is not able to have children by this man, does she ever think back on her indignation that she has? See, indignation can be showed in so many ways. See, sometimes you know somebody so well that you can hear the words and know that they have indignation. But an onlooker standing there said, oh, she just spoke to you. No.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear how she said, good morning. You didn't hear that? It's morning. You see how with the T? No, she pissed off. But she pissed off when she put the T in there. See, you don't know her enough to know that she's pissed off. See, you don't know her enough. I'm telling you, there was indignation in that. I heard how the words came out. That indignation caused Yahweh. And it's already a conflict of interest because she's the daughter of the previous king. Now, you think you already had problems with your own sons fighting for who would be king. Would a son from this woman then believe I'm the king 2 times? My daddy was a king and my granddaddy. And my mama's the daughter of a king and my daddy was king. I should be king more than all you other sons. Would he then turn around and try to kill all the rest of them? Certain things that we do not consider. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. First Corinthians chapter 6. And we're going to read verses 15 through 20.
Know you not that your bodies are the members of Yahshua? Shall I then take the members of Yahshua and make them the members of an harlot? Elohim forbid.
So, to what things are we joined? And how hard is that joining? If it comes to the point of salvation or this thing, where do you stand? This is why you want to have something that will walk in line with you, whether it be a friend, a spouse, whatever that is. If it's not walking in line with you, you have an issue. Go ahead.
What? Know you not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For 2, says he, shall be one flesh.
Right. So it's not that is a harlot. Y'all are a harlot. Why? Because you're joined to it. Now, back up and then consider the friendships that we have. And we said, that brother does some foul stuff. He does. You was over there yesterday, right? Now, y'all do some foul stuff. What you mean, y'all? Wasn't you there? Didn't you know what he did? Okay, then. Y'all did it. Right. You joined yourself to it. Go ahead.
But he that is joined unto the Adonai is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man does is without the body, but he that commits fornication sins against his own body. What? Know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not your own?
Wait a minute. Now consider that. What? Know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not your own? So what have you offered that up to do? Go ahead.
For you are bought with a price. Therefore glorify Elohim in your body and in your spirit, which are Elohim's.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. And I want to read verses 29 and 30.
And if your right eye offend you, pluck it out.
Do you have what it takes to do that? See, he ain't talking about your real right eye. No, he's talking about that right-hand man, that right-hand woman, that friend that you have joined yourself to. Have we considered that The foolish virgins looked just like the wise virgin until it got dark. Matter of fact, the foolish virgins were supping off the spirit of the wise. They used the appearance of the wise to blend in. This is why you may see certain things, right? Somebody either lead a church or somebody, move away, and all of a sudden you start seeing something in somebody else. What happened? They lost the individual that they was able to hide behind. It's night in their life. And now you can see them. And they don't realize, that person you used to hide behind, who were 10 times crazier than you, they gone. So now all your crazy showing. Go ahead.
And cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into hell.
Right. So if you can get rid of a part and save the rest, then get rid of that part. But see, that's hard for us to do. Because we creatures of habit. Sometimes it's like, I came in the Word with this person. You know what I'm saying? We came in the Word together. We was holding hands. We didn't even have 2 Bibles. We had one. Go ahead, bro.
And if your right hand offends you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is
Do you have the power to cut off that right hand? Because if that's the only thing, if all the rest of you is standing in the kingdom and the only thing left is that right hand, what you gonna do? Go ahead.
For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into hell.
All right. So we have to understand that along this path that leads to salvation, there's going to be some decisions that are going to have to be made. Some of the people who you think ain't going to make it are going to be the ones standing there when you get there. They're going to be already there. And some of the ones you think going to make it, they ain't going to be there. So then we have to be very careful to the things that we have joined ourselves to. You came in here by yourself. Judgment gonna be by yourself. Ain't no friendship in judgment. Ain't no buddy system. So that buddy that you came in holding the same Bible with, he not gonna be in judgment with you. You hold the front part, I hold the back. No, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. You're going to be in judgment by yourself. So you might want to go ahead and start practicing some of that. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.